On 30 October 2013, the Auditor-General tabled his Performance Audit Report on implementation of the Government Risk Management Framework. To read the full report, please go to our website at www.audit.vic.gov.au. The Auditor-General provides assurance to Parliament on the accountability and performance of the Victorian public sector. The Audit Act 1994 defines the powers and responsibilities of the Auditor-General and the Victorian Auditor-General's Office. Under this Act, the Auditor-General conducts and reports on both financial audits and performance audits. The Auditor-General's mandate covers over 500 entities, including government departments, hospitals, local government, water corporations, police, emergency services, universities, and superannuation schemes. We all understand what risk management is, even if we don't understand the technical language often used to describe it. Each day, every one of us encounters situations that might harm us or obstacles that could get in the way of what we want to do. We manage these things by planning and acting to avoid or deal with these things. In fact, just being here is evidence of our success. It is also noticeable that people find it easier addressing immediate risks rather than those risks where the serious consequences won't be felt for some time. Think of the struggles people have in addressing lifestyle habits such as smoking, drinking, or eating too much and not exercising, where it is often very difficult to connect the almost certain future consequences to meaningful present action. Individual public sector agencies and government as a whole face similar challenges in managing the risks that threaten policy goals. Agencies effectively managing their individual and shared risks is critical if they are to deliver and sustain quality services to Victorians. Our earlier 2007 audit identified specific gaps and weaknesses about how government managed risks affecting multiple agencies, which we refer to as interagency risks, and risks that are of statewide significance because they are systemic or could have impacts that are large enough to affect the whole state. We recommended the government introduce a framework for managing risk, and this happened in the same year that our audit was tabled. We have come back to check on the progress made. Specifically, we examined whether the framework had been effective by checking whether it formed a comprehensive and sound base for good practice, seeing if DTF and VMIA had provided agencies with the support and guidance they needed, and testing how well a sample of 6 line agencies had applied the framework. These included 3 departments and 3 smaller agencies, and informed our conclusions and recommendations we directed towards DTF and VMIA. They are not named in the report, and we used the results in aggregate to inform our conclusions. We communicated specific findings to the line agencies through management letters. On a positive note, the framework has been a useful tool in helping agencies improve their risk management. The line agencies we looked at largely followed the framework's high-level requirements and had in place the essential structure of policies and documents set out in the framework. We could see improvements in their evolving approaches to managing risk. However, these agencies have got some way to go if they are to use these building blocks to consistently apply a proactive and outcome-driven approach to risk. The most critical gap is around managing interagency and statewide risks, and progress to address this long-standing and critical issue has been very slow. This needs to change because, as a state, we are not well prepared to manage a range of significant risks where negative and highly damaging consequences are almost certain to occur over the next 2 decades. Managing the risks around lifestyle-related chronic disease, the consequences of rapid urban population growth, and the impacts of climate change are areas where our past audits and this current review confirm that the state is not well prepared. Failing to act is likely to narrow the state's options for managing these risks and force a focus on responding to, rather than avoiding, the worst consequences. Current and future Victorians will bear the full costs if this continues. In terms of our more detailed findings, the framework is sound, aligns with the Australian-New Zealand Risk Management Standard, and has provided an impetus for agencies to better apply the standard's principles. However, we have told DTF about how the framework needs to be improved by providing greater clarity about its minimum requirements and including a coherent approach to interagency and statewide risks. In terms of our findings about guidance and support, the framework is backed by an extensive set of VMIA guidelines. VMIA also provides support and training for public sector agencies, and these are valuable activities. However, we raise with VMIA the gaps we see in the current guidelines again around showing agencies how to effectively manage interagency and statewide risks, and the need for a learning and development strategy to better focus its training and support work. Currently, the government is not well informed about the sector's preparedness to manage interagency and statewide risks. Agency returns showing widespread compliance with the framework hide this essential gap. The government does not have a thorough and deep understanding of the statewide risks that threaten its long-term policy goals. Agencies are largely, but not fully, compliant with the framework. The recurrent gap of managing interagency and statewide risks is again of the most significance. We also found issues with agencies' use of attestation statements, which varied without saying why, and with agencies reporting under-deductible insurance claims. These show where claims against agencies are not covered by insurance policy thresholds and help VMIA advise agencies about how to make their cover more cost-effective. We also found room for improving practices in the areas listed on this slide because agencies did not properly document how they had settled on the risks within their risk registers, did not assure us that their risk selection was driven by a full analysis of the threats to their stated objectives. Most had not tested whether their staff really understood and followed good risk management practices, and except for 2 of the 6, had not set up risk performance indicators. You can see a summary of our recommendations on this slide. While all of these are important, the standout is the first one about addressing weaknesses in how interagency and statewide risks are managed. The Interdepartmental Committee, formed in late September 2012, and the scheduled update of the 2014 Framework Guidelines, together provide another opportunity for government to make significant progress on this. It is critical that the Interdepartmental Committee, DTF and VMIA provide government with the information it needs to act decisively to do this. The importance of the next 2 years is highlighted by the Auditor-General's stated intention to revisit this topic in 2015-16 to check on progress. VAGO has published multiple reports about the risks in Victoria. The 2007 report, Managing Risk Across the Public Sector Toward Good Practice, made several recommendations that have yet to be applied by the Department of Treasury and Finance. All our reports are available on our website. If you have any questions about this or other reports, or if you have anything else you would like to discuss with us, including ideas for future audit topics, please call us on 03 8601 7000 or contact us via our website.